At a crowded backyard barbecue, my wife clinked her glass and announced she could drop me like a bad habit anytime. The group's laughter stung, but her college friend's reply cut deeper. Then maybe I'll snatch him up. My chest tightened. Heads turned. In that instant, I knew my marriage was dangling by a single, fraying thread. The week before that barbecue, the air between us had already shifted. Not one big fight, just dozens of small cuts. The late-night texting. The way she lit up for strangers but stayed blank for me. Dinner conversations that felt like awkward elevator rides. Thursday night, we sat at opposite ends of the couch, the flicker from the TV making her look even farther away. I reached for her hand. She flinched. "Not now, Mason," she said without looking up. The show playing wasn't even one she liked. "Is something wrong?" I asked. Her sigh was exaggerated. "Do you really have to ask?" That hit harder than I let on. I pulled back. We didn't speak for the rest of the night. By Saturday, she was dressed to kill. Hair perfect, lipstick bold, that black dress she hadn't worn for me in years. We were heading to her friend Trevor's backyard barbecue. "Smile," she told me in the car, eyes on her phone. "People notice when you mope." I smiled, but it felt like my face might crack. Trevor's place was the kind of suburban spread you see in real estate ads. Wide patio, string lights, music floating from hidden speakers. The smell of ribs and burgers mixed with sunscreen and too many bodies in the August heat. At first, she kept a grip on my arm like she was showing off a prize. But soon she drifted toward the drinks table, Kelsey, her best friend, anchoring the group. I hung back with Trevor, half listening to his lawn care tips. Then her voice cut through the music like glass on tile. "I could drop Mason like a bad habit any time," she said. Sharp laughter followed. Kelsey raised her glass, grinning like she'd been waiting for this line. "Then maybe I'll snatch him up." Gasps fluttered. Trevor stopped mid-sentence. I turned, locking eyes with Kelsey first, her smirk daring me to react. Then my wife, who didn't yet realize I'd heard. The cold hit me, not a shiver, but that still, brittle feeling when you know the ice is cracking under you. I walked toward them, slow, measured. The laughter faded. Even Kelsey's grin dimmed. "You know," I said evenly, "it's interesting who values what others throw away." The circle froze. My wife turned, her face twitching when she saw me. "Mason, it was a joke," she said, sugary but tense. I didn't reply. I gave a short, cutting smile, more for me than her, and walked away toward the patio steps, leaving them in the kind of silence that burns. Inside, I cracked open a soda and leaned against the counter. Through the sliding doors, she was still there, glass in hand, pretending to laugh again. But the stiffness in her shoulders told me she knew. This wasn't random. It was a test. And for the first time in our marriage, I wasn't going to play along. I stayed inside longer than I needed to, letting the cool air and the hum of the fridge settle me. From the patio, I could hear bursts of laughter again, but they didn't reach me the same way. Not after what I'd just heard. When I finally stepped back outside, I didn't go to her. Instead, I grabbed a plate, loaded it with whatever Trevor had pulled off the grill, and sat at a small table with people I barely knew. They were polite, talking about sports and vacation plans. It was background noise, and I liked it that way. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught her looking over, quick, sharp glances between sentences with Kelsey. I could read the question in her eyes. Was I sulking, or was I plotting? I kept my expression neutral, chewing slowly, nodding at whatever the guy across from me was saying about baseball stats. Eventually, she came over. "Hey," she said lightly, setting her drink down on the table beside me. Her smile was the one she used on waiters when she wanted free dessert. "You disappeared." "I was right here," I replied, keeping my tone flat. She sat down next to me, crossing her legs so her knee touched mine. "Don't be mad. You know I was just joking." The words were soft, but her eyes were scanning the table, checking to see who was listening. "Funny thing about jokes," I said. "They're supposed to make everyone laugh." Her knee shifted away from mine. "You're overreacting, Mason. People say dumb stuff when they've had a drink." I turned my head, meeting her gaze. "You didn't say it because of the drink. You said it because you meant it." Her lips pressed together. "Let's not do this here," she whispered, but there was a tiny crack in her voice. Anger, maybe fear. "Too late," I said quietly. "You already did it here." Before she could respond, Kelsey strolled up, holding 2 fresh drinks. "Thought you might need a refill," she said to my wife. but her eyes flicked to me with a spark I didn't like. My wife took the glass without looking at her. The tension between them was obvious now, and I wondered how long that undercurrent had been there. I stood up, carrying my plate toward the trash. Kelsey's smirk followed me like a shadow. The rest of the night felt like slow motion. I kept my distance, talking with Trevor about home repairs, laughing with a couple of his neighbors, watching my wife orbit from group to group like nothing had happened. But every time I caught her glancing my way, her smile didn't reach her eyes. When we finally left, the car was silent. She drove, hands gripping the wheel tighter than necessary. Halfway home, she spoke. "You embarrassed me tonight." I almost laughed. "I embarrassed you? You humiliated me in front of half your friends." Her grip tightened further. "You're twisting it. Everyone knew it was a joke." "No," I said, my voice steady. Everyone knew exactly what it was. We pulled into the driveway without another word. The house felt heavier than usual when we stepped inside. She kicked off her heels, dropped her purse on the counter, and poured herself a glass of water. I leaned against the doorway. "You know, I could ignore a lot of things. But not that. Not the way you looked at her when she said she'd snatch me up." She turned, setting the glass down with a sharp clink. "You're reading into it." "Am I?" I asked. I took a step closer. "Because I've seen that look before. Just not directed at me for a long time." Her jaw tightened. "This is ridiculous." "No," I said, lowering my voice. "This is the part where you decide if you're going to keep pretending or if you're finally going to be honest." For a moment, she just stared at me. Then she brushed past, muttering, "I'm taking a shower." The bathroom door clicked shut. Water started running, and I stood there in the living room, staring at the empty space she'd left behind, realizing something important. She wasn't going to give me honesty. I was going to have to take it. She stayed in the shower for nearly 40 minutes. Long enough for me to know she wasn't just washing off the night. She was buying time, thinking, rehearsing. When she finally emerged, hair damp and pulled back, she didn't look at me. She padded straight to the bedroom, slipped into pajamas, and climbed into bed with her phone. I followed, leaning against the doorframe. "You going to tell me what's really going on?" I asked. She didn't glance up. "Nothing's going on." Her thumb kept scrolling. I stepped closer. "You can lie to my face, but at least have the decency to put the phone down while you do it." That got her attention. Her eyes flicked up, cold. "You're being paranoid, Mason. This is why I don't tell you things. You make everything into a conspiracy." I tilted my head. "Then prove me wrong." I nodded toward the phone. She clutched it tighter. "You're unbelievable." She rolled over, back to me, phone still in hand. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I replayed the barbecue in my head, frame by frame. The smirk on Kelsey's face, the glances between them, the way my wife's voice had curled around that sentence like she'd been waiting to say it. By morning, I decided I wasn't going to wait for her to hand me the truth. I'd find it myself. The opportunity came sooner than I expected. Sunday evening, she left for a quick run to the store. I knew better. She never wore that much perfume to buy bread. As soon as her car disappeared down the street, I sat on the edge of the bed and pulled open her nightstand drawer. It was empty except for a charger cord and an old paperback. The phone wasn't there. I checked her vanity next. Nothing. Finally, I opened the hall closet where she kept her old purses. Inside one, wrapped in a scarf, was a second phone. Not her current one, an older model I hadn't seen in months. It powered on instantly. No password. And the first thing I saw was a string of messages. Not from Kelsey, but from someone saved only as T. The most recent one read, "Last night was fun. Same time next week." The one before that, "I liked the way you laughed when I said he wouldn't notice." My stomach tightened. I kept scrolling. Inside jokes, late-night meetups, pictures of wine glasses clinking in dimly lit rooms. And then, 3 weeks back, a photo of her and Kelsey at a bar, with T commenting, "She has no idea you were looking at me the whole time." I sat there for a long moment, the glow from the screen burning into me. Then I powered it off, wrapped it back in the scarf, and put it exactly where I'd found it. By the time she got home, I was in the kitchen washing dishes. She set her grocery bag on the counter like nothing had happened. "How was your night in?" she asked casually. "Quiet," I said. She didn't notice the edge in my voice. Or maybe she did and decided to ignore it. Over the next few days, I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I paid attention. Where she went, how long she was gone, the shift in her tone whenever a text came through. Each detail was another piece of a puzzle I didn't want to finish, but knew I had to. On Thursday, she told me she was going to a networking mixer for work. I smiled and wished her a good time. 10 minutes after she left, I was in my car, following at a distance. She didn't go downtown where her office was. She drove to a little bistro 2 towns over. And sitting at the patio table, already waiting for her, was a man in a navy button-down I'd never seen before. He stood when she arrived, kissed her cheek, and pulled out her chair. I sat in my car across the street, hands gripping the wheel so tight my knuckles ached. I watched them laugh, lean in close, share a bottle of wine. No phones, no distractions, just 2 people who didn't need to pretend with each other. When they finally left, I didn't follow. I'd seen enough. Driving home, I realized I wasn't even angry in the way I thought I'd be. I was resolved. The pieces had come together, and now there was only one thing left to do: let her know the game was over. I didn't rush the confrontation. Rage makes mistakes, and I wanted precision. For 2 more days, I played the role, calm, predictable, a husband too busy with work to notice the late nights. Inside, I was loading ammunition. By Saturday morning, I had it all: screenshots from the old phone, photos from the bistro, and a printed log of messages that didn't belong in any marriage. I placed them in a manila envelope, set it on the coffee table, and waited. She came home around noon from yoga. Hair perfect, makeup fresh, nothing like someone who'd been sweating through downward dog. She kicked off her sneakers and froze when she saw me sitting there, leaning back like I had all the time in the world. "What's this?" she asked, nodding toward the envelope. "You tell me," I said. "You're better with stories." Her eyes flicked to it, then back to me. "What are you implying?" "Not implying," I replied. "Showing." I slid it toward her. She hesitated before opening it. When the first photo slid out, the one of her and T, laughing over wine, her face drained of color. She flipped through the rest, slower now, her hands trembling. "You went through my things," she whispered. "I went through the lies you left lying around," I said. "Turns out, they weren't buried very deep." She set the papers down, avoiding my eyes. "Mason, it's not what it looks like." I almost laughed. "It's exactly what it looks like. And what it sounds like. And what it reads like." Her voice sharpened. "I was lonely. You've been distant for months." I leaned forward. "You don't fix loneliness by shopping for replacements." Her mouth opened, closed, then opened again, searching for the right defense. I didn't plan for it to happen. It just did. "So the part at the barbecue," I said slowly, "was what? Your way of testing how far you could push before I broke." She blinked hard. "I was drunk. Kelsey was egging me on." "And this T guy?" I asked. "Was he just part of the egging too?" Her eyes flashed with something I hadn't seen before: panic. "Mason, please, we can work through this. I made a mistake. I don't want to lose us." "You already did," I said quietly. The room went still. She stared at me like she didn't recognize the man in front of her. I stood, walked to the front door, and opened it. "What are you doing?" she asked, voice cracking. "Making space for you to leave." She shook her head. No, I'm not going anywhere. We can talk." "There's nothing left to talk about," I said. "I've spent weeks listening to your version of our marriage. Now you can listen to mine. It's over." She didn't move at first. Then, slowly, she gathered the envelope and shoved it into her bag like maybe she could erase it if she kept it close. Her heels clicked against the hardwood as she walked out, not looking back. When the door closed, I stood there for a moment, listening to the silence. It wasn't the heavy kind that had filled our house lately. It was lighter, cleaner, like fresh air after a storm. Still, I knew it wasn't the end. She wouldn't let it end that easily. And I was right. The text started that evening. "First, we need to talk. Then, I love you. Please don't do this." Followed by, "You're making a mistake." I didn't answer. Every vibration of my phone felt weaker than the one before. By midnight, the last one came through. "If you think you're walking away clean, you're wrong." I set the phone face down on the table. If she wanted a war, she was about to find out I'd already won. Her threat in that last text wasn't just bluster. By Monday morning, I got a call from a mutual friend warning me she'd been telling her side all weekend. According to her, I was a controlling husband, insecure, and probably cheating. Classic misdirection. Paint me as the villain before anyone asks too many questions. I didn't respond. Not publicly. Not yet. Instead, I met with an attorney, an older guy named Frank Calder who spoke in clipped, surgical sentences. I laid everything out, photos, texts, timelines. When I finished, he tapped the table once. "You've got her," he said. "The key is to keep it clean. No mudslinging. Just facts." The court date came faster than I expected. She showed up in a pale blue dress, hair in soft waves, looking every bit the wronged spouse. Her lawyer was younger, polished, and, judging by the shuffle of papers, completely unprepared for what was coming. Frank started with the foundation. The second phone. The messages from T. The photos from the bistro. Then, like a scalpel, he sliced into the deeper cut, the barbecue. He played the audio I'd recorded on my phone that night. Her voice rang through the courtroom speakers. "I could drop Mason like a bad habit any time." Then Kelsey's reply. "Then maybe I'll snatch him up." Laughter. A pause. Gasps from the gallery. Her lawyer tried to interrupt. Frank didn't let him. "Your Honor," he said, "this is not hearsay. This is my client's own spouse making a public declaration of abandonment." The judge nodded. Overruled. "Continue." Frank did. He read out her text to T from just 2 days before that barbecue. "I wish I could just leave without all the paperwork." Her lawyer shifted in his seat, glancing at her. She kept her eyes down, but I saw the tension in her jaw. When it was her turn, they tried the sympathy route. Stress from work. A friendship misinterpreted. A marriage that lost its spark through no single person's fault. Frank didn't even look at his notes. "Mrs. Lane," he said, "if it was just a friendship, why did you save his number under an initial? Why meet 2 towns over? Why tell your best friend you could drop your husband at any time?" She stammered, searching for an answer. The silence stretched. The judge leaned forward. "I've heard enough," he said. "This court finds clear evidence of willful misconduct, public humiliation, and an intent to dissolve the marital relationship. Full property rights, the marital home, and financial assets are awarded to the petitioner. No spousal support." Her head snapped up. "What?" she blurted, before her lawyer could stop her. The gavel dropped. It was over. She sat there, frozen, while the bailiff called the next case. I stood, buttoned my jacket, and walked past her without a word. She didn't look at me until I reached the door. When she did, it wasn't hate in her eyes, it was disbelief. Like she'd just realized I wasn't the same man who used to flinch when she raised her voice. Outside, the air was warm, the kind that clings to your skin, but I felt lighter than I had in years. Frank clapped me on the shoulder. "Go live your life, Mason," he said. "This chapter's done." Maybe it was, but I had a feeling she wasn't going to let go quietly. 2 weeks after the court ruling, I started breathing differently. Not the shallow, braced for impact kind of breaths I'd been taking for months. Full ones. The house was quiet, but not heavy. I'd moved her leftover things into boxes and stacked them neatly in the garage, waiting for her to arrange pickup. I thought maybe she'd just send someone. Instead, she came herself. It was a Saturday afternoon. I'd been out back sanding a table when her car pulled into the driveway. She stepped out in jeans and a white blouse, hair loose, sunglasses hiding most of her face. But the way she moved, slow, deliberate, told me she was rehearsing every step. I opened the front door before she knocked. "Boxes are in the garage," I said, keeping my voice even. She didn't move toward it. Instead, she took off her sunglasses, and I saw it. The watery eyes, the faint tremble at the corner of her mouth. "Mason," she said quietly, "can we talk?" I crossed my arms. "We've already said everything that matters." She stepped closer. "I know I ruined it. I know I don't deserve you. But I can't stop thinking about what we used to have." I let the silence stretch until she filled it again. "I'm not with him anymore," she blurted. It wasn't real. None of it was. It was stupid, and I was scared. I thought maybe if I burned everything down, I could start over. But I didn't realize I'd be the one standing in the ashes. Her voice cracked on that last word. She looked at me like she expected to see the old version of me, the one who would rush in, soothe her, take the blame for her choices. Instead, I shook my head. "Everything you did was real. Every word, every look, every laugh at my expense. You meant it. And now you have to live with it." She flinched like I'd hit her. "Mason, please. I'm asking you for another chance." I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. That's when I noticed Kelsey's car creeping up the street. It slowed near my driveway, then parked at the curb. Kelsey got out, leaning casually against the hood, arms crossed, watching us. My ex turned, saw her, and her face twisted. What is she doing here? I shrugged. You tell me. She's your best friend, right? Kelsey's smirk widened. I just came to say hi, and maybe thank Mason for showing me what loyalty actually looks like. The air between them turned electric. My ex's voice rose. Is this a joke? Are you too? No, I cut in. But we've both seen the kind of person you are, and I think she wanted to see what it's like when someone stands their ground instead of rolling over. My ex's eyes went wild. This is insane. You're humiliating me. I stepped forward, not loud, but final. You did that yourself. I'm just making sure you don't forget it. She stood there a moment longer, chest heaving, then turned on her heel, storming to the garage. The boxes thudded into her trunk one by one. When she slammed it shut, she didn't look back. The car screeched away, tires spitting gravel. Kelsey pushed off her hood, strolling toward me. Think she got the message? She asked. Doesn't matter, I said. I wasn't talking to her anymore. I was talking to myself. She smiled, not a flirty smile, but the kind that says good for you. Then she left, and I went back to sanding the table. The wood was smooth under my hands, clean, ready for something new. Kind of like me. Later that night, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. Just one message, you'll regret this. I blocked it without hesitation. For the first time in years, my chest didn't feel like a cage. I wasn't just free. I was unshakable. That's the end of today's story. Did things turn out the way you thought, or were there some surprises along the way? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you haven't joined the community yet, now's the perfect time. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you're always the first to catch new stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next adventure.